In this video, I will show you how to use the item query report to look for specific HTML and JavaScript code that resides within pages of the SharePoint site. I will break down the process into two areas. First, I will show you how to use the item query report, and second, I will then walk through how to find specific JavaScript functions that are within a page. So here we are in the Essentials Toolkit. In order for us to look and use the item query report, I'm just going to collapse all of my sites and I'm going to click SharePoint or Home, which will take us to the SharePoint environment load. From here, I can actually either go into my SharePoint site and select what I'm looking for. Of course, as always, you can right click and choose Create Reports, but notice that this type of report is not available here. So we need to click Content, and then when we look under Discover, you will see there's an item query option that's available. Now the item query option allows me to create a completely custom job that uses very specific filtering. So first off, let's give the job a name and we'll call it item query demo. Then we can specify the URLs that we wish to use. So I'm going to use my portaldev.int site again. I could, if I wanted to, select multiple sites, or I could just select a single site. As always, we need to check and choose the show option for credentials and make sure that the credentials that we've chosen match the site that we're trying to connect to. So we can hide this here. Now the crux of this tool is done using the query options. The idea behind this is that we can find items that either include or exclude specific things. We can then also go in and choose the specific option, so include or exclude items if, and then we have some specific syntax that we can use. So either the size, when it was created, a specific column value, or whatever it would be. Outside of that, we can then choose whether it equals, doesn't equal, contains, so we can select the operator, and then we can type the value that we're looking for. So for example, if I wanted to say I'm looking for file content that contains the word test, then of course I can also then go in and say add and start to then exclude or include by combining these things together. So I can say content contains no test. So these two together will then be used as part of that query. So we can include file content that contains something, or we can exclude file content. Now, of course, as we go down with all the different rule types, we can obviously go through and exclude or include specific things. So I can say, I also want to exclude a specific list. I can then go and set email options and export options as you would normally. Now, of course, for actually finding things like JavaScript or something in a page, so the idea is here, let's say you have a SharePoint site, somebody's gone through and added maybe script editors or maybe content editor web parts and injected some JavaScript into the SharePoint site. Now, of course, the difficulty is that maybe you want to change what's being used. However, you don't know which pages have this in. Now, you could manually go through all of those pages and determine which things to use. But actually, using the Essential Toolkit, I can craft a query that will inspect the page content and find that for me. So let's go and have a look at our SharePoint site. So here I am on our sample page. I'm just going to refresh the page here. It's called JavaScript page 1. And all it does is it lets me go in and change the color of the border of a text box. Nothing spectacular. But actually, if we go into the page here and choose Edit, what you'll see on the page is it's a script editor web part. And if I choose Edit Snippet, it's basically running some JavaScript in the page. Now, the most important thing is it's calling a specific function called change div color. It doesn't really matter what it would be, but you can see that we have this that sits in the code. Basically, function change div color. Now, what I would like to be able to do is use the toolkit to look for that in any of the page content and let me know what that is. So then I can craft a list and know which pages need to be changed. So I'm actually just going to go into check-in and just discard the checkout. And then we'll go back to the toolkit. So from here, we'll say include, we'll choose the file content, we'll then contains, and very simply, we can just paste this. So function change div color, or it could be the name of something else in that HTML block. Now that we have that set up, I can say save my job, which obviously is the standard approach that we use. And then I'm going to go and schedule the job, which will bring us up the task scheduler. I'm just going to choose one time and click save. Then I can click the green option that says scheduled job. This will take me to the scheduled job place. You can see I've got my item query demo one that's here. If I now right click, I can choose run now. So I'm going to run this job. This will then iterate all of the content looking for that. So I'm going to keep refreshing, and eventually this job will finish after it iterates all of the content in my site collection looking for that piece of text. Our job is now completed successfully. If we right click and choose view reports, we can then select item query report. Once this loads, you'll see it's found our specific item and tells me that it was JavaScript page 1 and that it contained that specific information. Now, of course, if we had more items, you can do the same thing where we can drag and drop, obviously to build our list of items if we needed to. And of course, I can go into my item, and right from here, I can right click and say open list item. Now what this will do, this will take us to the SharePoint site where we can get the properties for the list. And then of course, we can then click on the page and obviously make changes at that point. So as you can see, the item query report works great to be able to find what you think you wouldn't normally be able to find using a SharePoint search, because this will inspect the content that's inside the files, the Word documents, the properties, whatever it would be, to help you better fix and resolve issues with your content.